What better way for a son and father to bond over than their mutual love for the Dallas Cowboys? Hi, I'm Michael Davis with my dad, Mac. We're a star-studded son and dad duo on the Star-Studded Cowboys Network, powered by Fans First Sports Network and Boom Broadcasting. And this is Dad and the Boys. The Cowboys' Monday midnight victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers was a thrilling victory for the Cowboys, but we turn our attentions to the Detroit Lions, Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys 0-2 at home, but 3-0 Road Warriors. They're going to have to defend their home turf this weekend against another NFC powerhouse, the Detroit Lions, and we're about to preview this game. Dad, this is a pivotal matchup. You even got the notes ready, and I'm hoping we squeak one out against the Lions.
Well, son, the Lions are kind of in a difficult spot because Minnesota's having an unbelievable start to the year. Of course, I still believe Minnesota will do the proverbial Minnesota Vikings collapse at some point here in the near future. I do think Detroit's probably the class of that division. Of course, you do have Green Bay as well. They are in a strong division with them. Green Bay, Chicago's playing better, and Minnesota right now, again, is having a great season. Dallas is also trailing Washington right now, and they're tied with the Eagles per se. The Eagles just had their bye. So we'll see what happens. But, I did bring the notes, and, unfortunately, son, when you get a little bit older, you got to have a little help reading the notes. But guess what? Folks, we have a Duran Pick Six Bland. That's Duran Pick Six Bland is coming back. He is been a full participant on Wednesday and Thursday of this week. I haven't seen the report for Friday, along with Seatbelt Carson. For the first time this season, we may have our secondary intact, which it couldn't come at a better time because the strength of this Detroit team is their passing attack. With Amon-Ra, St. Brown,
Jameson Williams, Sam
Laporta. Now, I don't think Jared Goff is going to pose the running threat that we've had with Pittsburgh or Baltimore. But
they do have two really good running backs.
They do have two really good running backs. But again, it won't be a dual threat, I don't think, with the quarterback there. I'm not going to diss Jared Goff because, again, that usually works against me on this show.
And he's good. He's good.
He is really playing good. I think Dak's still a better quarterback out of that draft, personally. But and by the way, Dak, actually, I read a thing the other day that Dak actually has the second best multiple come from behind in the fourth quarter to win the game, right behind Patrick Mahomes.
And there were a lot of quarterbacks, former quarterbacks like Ben Roethlisberger, Robert Griffin III, who came out and spoke this past week, and they were like, if that was Joe Burrow, if that was Josh Allen, if that was Patrick Mahomes, who led that 13-play, 9-yard drive to score a first touchdown and then have that late touchdown pass to Jalen Tolbert, they would be praised. But all we could hear is Dak put him in position to lose because of his turnovers. And I will say those were not pretty turnovers.
They weren't, but
it's
what?
Not a consistent.
He also recovered the fumble that
it was the play of the game.
Actually, had. So I mean, if it wasn't for Dak recovering that fumble, we wouldn't have had such a great episode last time and had such a blast doing it.
Oh, we did. And these are two pivotal games. So we'll play the Detroit Lions this week. We'll have a bye the following week, and then we'll play the 49ers. And then there's more of the schedule moving forward. But to beat these two NFC teams, these are probably the two most important games particularly outside of our division, that we'll play all year.
Well, and it's always, the most important game.
This one.
The next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the next one because you can only win one at a time. And that's the task at hand this week, is to win the game, period. It's a lot easier to go into the bye and have 2 weeks to feast on a victory than it is a defeat.
Yeah, and Detroit's going into this game 3-1. Again, they're chasing the Minnesota Vikings. They're trying to stay above both Green Bay and Chicago. Dallas trying to keep pace with Washington, who's right now 4-1 in the division. Dallas is 3-2, and again, looking for their first home game. We mentioned Deron Bland coming back. We mentioned Kalen Carson. Unless something weird happens, that looks like the pace it's going. Trevon Diggs will play. He was questionable going into last week. He played. Micah Parsons.
Micah's probably going to be out again this week. If I had to venture a guess, he hasn't practiced unless he practices today. He has not practiced on Wednesday or Thursday. And with the bye week and a high ankle sprain, it may be in the best interest long term to rest Micah Parsons for another week. Eric Kendricks hasn't practiced.
And we were talking about him being our quarterback on the defense.
Yeah, I do believe that. And I do believe I do think that Kendricks will play this week, but he just hasn't practiced on Wednesday or Thursday. So hopefully he'll be able to ramp it up today when the injury report comes out and get back at least on some level into the field. But they did say on yesterday, that Micah Parsons was seen on the field working with trainers. So that is a positive sign.
With resistance bands.
Right. So, I mean, Tyler Guyton.
Is he playing?
He was a full participant both Wednesday and Thursday. So that looks promising. Honestly, really, I haven't. He exited the game last week and never came back in, but all you heard was he had his knee wrapped, potential knee injury, but you never heard anything necessarily about the severity of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I never could catch anything on any feed, anything online or anything about what was the severity of Tyler Guyton's injury. But like I said, he's practiced Wednesday and Thursday.
And it doesn't feel like it'd be the end of the world either, because once Guyton went out,
Tyler Smith is amazing.
They moved Tyler to left tackle. TJ Bass was at left guard. Cooper Beebe stayed at center. Brock Hoffman came in at right guard when Zach went down. Terrence Steele, usually if you look at that and you're missing your all-pro, first ballot Hall of Famer right guard and your left tackle goes down, you're like, oh, this is bad. But our run game actually got better with those five.
Well, and you got to look at it too. Local media in Dallas has actually speculated that maybe they need to leave Tyler at left tackle. And,
Tyler Smith.
Right. Tyler Smith at left tackle, and maybe even potentially have Guyton challenging Steele for the right tackle spot.
Which Guyton played right tackle in college.
He did at Oklahoma. So, I mean, right now, Terrence Steele really – he hasn't had the best of the season so far, but you want your best five guys out there, period. Whatever combination that is with Beebe and Smith and
Hoffman, Martin.
Martin. Whoever the next two guys are to make the best starting five for us is who we need, because we do need to have our running game moving, because that allows us to control time of possession. And when our defense is hurting like it is and missing guys, then that allows us to take and rest them and also not expose them. And it also allows our offense to churn away the yards and hopefully take and score points. Of course, I don't know that 20 this week will necessarily do it against the Lions. I think we're going to have to be a little bit more productive down in the red zone and be scoring touchdowns.
And the over-under for this game is 52.5 points. So You're looking mid-20s, maybe early 30s for this game.
Which is not out of the realm of possibility. It's just that they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to execute a lot better and be more careful with the football.
Very, very, especially going up against Aiden Hutchinson, who, if I'm not mistaken, leads the NFL in sacks.
And again, I'm not going to diss Aiden Hutchinson. He's a great player. I mean, he really is. I've been impressed. You know, didn't he come from Michigan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I'm not the biggest proponent of Michigan linemen. Thank you, Taco Charlton, for running that for me. You know, I don't know that necessarily it's the Taco Charlton thing, but it was the fact that we didn't take TJ Watt and we took Taco.
That was gross. That was gross.
You know, thank you, Rod Marinelli, by the way.
But Aiden's going to be tough.
But Aiden is going to be tough. And he's having a good career to begin at the beginning of his career. I'm hoping Mozzie Smith will kind of follow in his footsteps for Michigan linemen and stuff. But yeah, you can't knock their defense. And there again, their coach, Dan Campbell, former Cowboys tight end. I think Dan's a great coach. He does have a tendency to gamble a little bit more, you know, and some even say that if he hadn't have been so persistent last year, they would have beat us in our home last year.
Oh, when they were going for 2.
Yeah, they kept going for 2 no matter what, and they didn't have to. They could have tied the game, you know, with an extra point. But he was persistent in going for 2 and ended up, after multiple attempts, did not get the 2-point conversion and ended up costing them the game. So, I mean, I hope he's persistent and makes mistakes or the wrong call this time to help us out. This is going to be a tough game.
But a very, very important game this Sunday.
Is it winnable? Yes. Will it take a really consistent, almost flawless game to win? Yes.
100%. And it's going to take our one-star matchup to get us a victory. We're going to take a quick commercial break if you're listening to us on Fans First, and if you're watching on Boom Broadcasting. When we come back, we're going to give our one-star matchup. If you know, you know. You should by this point in the season. And then our final score prediction right now on Dad and the Boys. Welcome back to Dad and the Boys. Michael Davis and my dad, Mac. We've been doing our one-star matchup. The guy versus the guy. The coach versus the coach. The position group versus the position group. That'll make all the difference and help the Dallas Cowboys to victory when they host the Detroit Lions, who come in at this game 3-1. The Lions are also on a bye week. Cowboys have one pending before they meet the 49ers. But when it comes to the Lions-Cowboys, what's your one-star matchup that'll make the difference?
I want to go with someone on defense. And I'm trying to even remember who I said last week as far as my one-star matchup. But I'm going to go and flip the script and go to offense this week. My one-star matchup is none other than Mr. C.D. Lamb. C.D., you haven't had a 100-yard game this year. We need you. We need you bad. We need you to be that star that you are. You're, I say, the best wide receiver in the NFL. There's some that throw that kid up in Minnesota above you, but I don't. He might make a little bit more money than you right now, but that's okay. I need you to put on a show in front of our home audience. 3 touchdowns. 3. Not 1, not 2, but 3 touchdowns. That's what I need. I need you to light it up. Rico Dowdle is not my one-star, but hey, get it, boy. I want you to receive a touchdown this week. Because if you do, you're going to set a record for the team. You'll be the only running back that we've had that does it in 3 consecutive games. So go ahead and do that. And again, my 1-star matchup, Mr. C.D. Lamb against the Detroit secondary. 3 touchdowns.
Wow. That would really help my fantasy team. So I echo that. Mine is going to be somebody who I feel like can shine and can do this. But Overshown, you're my favorite linebacker. And I need you to beat up and make sure Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery don't do this. If they can run the ball efficiently against us, they're going to keep doing it. And that's how they're going to advance the chains and keep the time of possession. But if DeMarvion Overshown is keeping Gibbs and Montgomery to 2 yards a carry, they're going to have to throw that ball. And I like our chances with Trevon Diggs, Deron Bland, Kalen Carson, Jordan Lewis. I really like our chances if we make Detroit get into 3rd and long situations and have to pass the ball. Which brings us to our final score prediction, Dad.
And I was just going to throw in there, you talking about their running backs and DeMarvion Overshown. Although they struggled earlier on in the year, I don't want to jinx them, but our defense has stepped up in the running defense and held teams that necessarily maybe not the Giants as being a predominant running offense this year since they lost Barkley, but Pittsburgh was, and they held them really well. Great job last week. Continue that trend. Of course, my 1-star, my score prediction, Dallas by 1.
Well, if you watched Out of Pocket yesterday, we're not having Out of Pocket today. Right after this, me and Dad we're going to wrestling. I heard we're taking 1 car. I suggested 2 cars just because
I'm way back.
I want way back. So if you guys will keep updated on my social media today, if I post a tweet like, "Hey, here's my Addy, somebody come pick me up," I'll pay you as an Uber. Might even pay for your Waffle House after the show. Just make sure I get home or somewhere safe.
Well, now you did call me out of pocket yesterday on your show.
You came in and barged in on my show.
Yeah, but you know what? You're lucky I did because your mama took and stopped me because I had your birth certificate in the shredder.
Oh, wow. Well, to be fair, I do still have Detroit winning this game.
It is going to be a tough one.
It's going to be really
He's
tough.
Up for adoption, y'all.
I didn't have Dallas win last week. So I'm trying to keep it in good graces, but I just feel like Detroit is tough, and it doesn't help that they had their bye week. So,
well, understand this though, son. If you go on this trend of I've got to pick against Dallas just to keep them winning, that means in a couple weeks you're going to have to say something that you're going to dread. And Mr. Podcast Smitty is probably going to record it and play it back over and over and over so you have to hear it.
Well, let's just focus on Detroit. Let's focus on Detroit and see what we have. He's got Cowboys by 1. I got Detroit. By 5. I got Detroit by 5 to win this game. And if I'm wrong, I'll be happy.
What is the line on it?
Right now, Detroit's favored by 3 points. So that's
a sweet 6-point swing with us being the home team.
Yeah. So I'm thinking it's going to be Detroit by 5. It should be a great game. Hopefully the Cowboys come out victorious after that. You're watching Dad and the Boys now. Again, Out of Pocket won't be on Boom Broadcasting this evening. We'll be gone to an event together as dad and son before I'm put up for adoption.
He's hoping we ride back together.
The nightcap will be on tonight for Boom Broadcasting with SmackDown. And then tomorrow, Dad will drop his 2nd episode of Starstruck.
With a special segment on there. And I'm looking forward and hoping get a great reaction from the fans out there as we go down that rabbit hole.
I like rabbit holes, depending on where it goes. But guys, appreciate you guys watching us, listening to us on Boom Broadcasting, on Fans First Sports Network. For Dad and the boys, Michael Davis, my dad Mac, and it's all part of the Star Studded Cowboys Network. But you may return to your regularly scheduled lives. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. And remember, this is our first rodeo, and we'll catch you here next time.